Hey yo, I gotta start off by saying we absolutely cooked last week, saying that this Daikaiju wanted to absorb Mina instead of killing her. Matsumoto did a dope false death scare last week, but chapter 115 was full of nothing but pure unadulterated hype. Seeing Mina stare down the barrel of that Daikaiju and not flinch taking those shots at that thing. Hoshina literally soaring through the sky to go and save his captain. And we can't forget Hoshina literally knows how to use 100% output at this point. So it makes sense that we had to ask for somebody super weak like Narumi to come and help us fight. Because can somebody weak like him even keep up with Hoshina? That was just a dig at all y'all Narumi fans. Hoshina's better, and I stand 10 toes on that. But one thing that I can't shake is the fact that a few chapters ago, this Daikaiju showed us that it has absorbed ancestors of Narumi and Hoshina in the past. I have to imagine that during this fight, this Daikaiju is going to see Hoshina and see Narumi and start putting together that they are descendants of people that it wanted in the past, the same way that it wants Mina now, the same way that it wanted Kaiju number 9 before taking it. And I can only imagine what sort of implications that might have for Hoshina and Narumi. And we'll talk about that in this video. So let's get into it. So chapter 115 picks up right where 114 left off at. We are seeing those ancient runes still going around Mina, and on top of that, Kafka's vitals are still not detectable at this point. Makes me sad for Kafka, but I'm still under the impression that there's nothing to worry about when it comes to Kafka as far as him being alive. I still do not think that Kafka is actually dead here, and I'm very much so under the impression that at some point soon here, Kaiju number 8 is actually going to be the one that ends up taking over and using Kafka's body while Kafka is coming too still. But even with Narumi and Hoshina pulling up, the objective for them isn't really to beat this Daikaiju. They can't beat this thing alone, and they know that. But what they can do is draw as much time as they possibly can so that Mina can go over to Kafka and try to make sure that he is okay, wake him up, or figure out what is going on at this point. But as Mina has all those ancient runes go around her body, this Daikaiju lets Mina know again that no matter what, no era, no matter how strong, nobody has ever escaped its reach. And it's also interesting here to see just that Kaiju number 9 head popping out of random parts on this body of this Daikaiju, because it almost still makes me feel a little bit bad for number 9. Its consciousness is still alive somewhere in the space of this Daikaiju, but this Daikaiju is fully in control right now. There is nothing that number 9 can do to stop this Daikaiju, and that is why it is telling Mina, bro, I told you, no matter what you do, you can't get away. But I loved seeing the parallel in Mina's facial expressions once she realizes that she has that support from the defense force. Number 9 is constantly trying to take all hope away from Mina, and she looks shocked whenever those runes first go across her face. But whenever she sees Hoshina out the corner of her eye, instantly she has that look of determination well up in her eyes, and she stares down Kaiju number 9 while pointing that gun at him, and number 9 just can't understand why, no matter what it does, no matter what it says, this hope cannot be taken from Mina. This determination is always in her eye, and we are wondering the same thing. And then Mina goes into a little speech, bro. She talks about how the one person that always makes up for her flaws, the person that makes her job easier, the person that whenever she hits a wall, they are always there to blaze a trail for her, is none other than the GOAT, Sosuro Hoshina. In that panel, dog, of Hoshina flying through the sky, reflecting through Mina's eye, I know that all of y'all were flexing seeing Hoshina like that, dog. Because to be honest, I thought that Narumi was going to pull up before even Hoshina did. But the fact that Hoshina pulled up that quick, that boy had to be running to get there that quick, man. And I can only imagine the amount of anger that he had even thinking about the fact that number 9 might be trying to take Mina's life. Hoshina dips down and uses Hoshina style sword slayer technique number 6, 8-fold slasher, and completely destroys everything underneath him, bro. A cloud goes up and we can't even see that Daikaiju at that point, but we know that this Daikaiju was more than fine avoiding this attack. The Daikaiju dodges Hoshina's attack and then immediately tries to use another invisible slashing attack on Hoshina, but Mina covers Hoshina's back and fires multiple rounds at this Daikaiju, and at that point, all of Hoshina's pods land next to him. And he says, hey, 10. This Daikaiju is more brolic than number 12 that we just got done versing, so we gotta hit this thing with everything that you got. And number 10 is like, baka. Of course we do. This thing's more brolic. What you think we gotta do? We don't got a choice. And that just made me laugh, because no matter what Hoshina says, Kaiju number 10 is always gonna have something smart ass to say back, but it's a relationship and a dynamic that I love to see, and hopefully we just get to keep on seeing them interact during this fight too, right? It's crazy also if you think about this, y'all. Hoshina has not been using this suit in like real live combat until this war started, dog. The only thing that Hoshina was using the suit on was his own comrades training against them. But the fact that this is Hoshina's first time using this thing in live combat, and him and Ten are operating in this kind of level, bro, this kind of synchronization, 100% output achieved on their first time out. The ceiling for Hoshina is so high right now, and I am ecstatic to see how they keep on growing together and how they keep on bickering at each other. But Hoshina launches a slashing attack back up at this Daikaiju while it's up in the air, and this Daikaiju expands its tail to block Hoshina's attack and uses its tail to completely thrash towards Hoshina. Hoshina ends up dodging that attack and then buzzes over to Mina and tells her, hey, I've got this under control, so you go and check on Kafka and make sure that everything is okay over there. Mina says back, hey, this is not the kind of Daikaiju that you can handle on your own. You do need help. And Hoshina says, I know that. And that's why I'd like you to give me permission to allow one more person to join this fight. And we see Narumi buzz over and says, permission? I for sure don't need permission. I am the captain of the 1st Division, the most important military division for Japan. Why would I need authorization or permission from either of you to join this fight? And the last panel of Narumi pushing his hair back and calling Hoshina a rotten bowl-cut jerk just made me laugh, because their bickering is also another great dynamic of this series. And one thing that I can say, Hoshina is my favorite character, but if we look at the common denominator of people that bicker, Hoshina is always one of those people bickering with everybody else. So I think that Hoshina might be the problem, y'all. Hoshina might be the problem. But regardless, this chapter was hype. Not a lot of lore in the chapter, but it's gonna be really dope to see Narumi and Hoshina fighting together, right? Narumi can fight from a close distance or a little bit of a range because of the nature of his weapon, and Hoshina is just a straight close range specialist at this point. He can't launch those slashes forward, but he's close range. So we have a lot of bases covered here when it comes to fighting this Daikaiju, but at the same time, we don't know everything that it can do. And on top of that, what is this Daikaiju going to do whenever it starts seeing Narumi and Hoshina fighting in action side by side? Like we said to begin this video, this Daikaiju has already shown us in the past that it absorbed people that looked like they were probably ancestors of Hoshina and Narumi. And for that reason, it would not be at all surprising for this Daikaiju to see Narumi, to see Hoshina. And if their ancestors were that important in the past, who's to say that they aren't just as special now, or just as dangerous to this Daikaiju, right? There's a reason that this Daikaiju wants certain people. Mina is one of the best heavy artillery specialists in the history of Japan, bro. So it makes sense that this Daikaiju sees Mina and wants her. It wanted that intelligence of Kaiju number 9. What did it want from those ancestors of Hoshina and Narumi? And that's what we'll probably end up figuring out here as we get into these next chapters, but I'm happy at the end of this chapter. This is one of the first times in the past few chapters that things are starting to look a little positive for a hot second, right? We have had all hope taken from us by number 9 in this Daikaiju for the last handful of chapters, but this is the first time that, hey, our strongest fighters in the force are here to fight against this thing. And not only that, there's a chance that technically more people could pull up. I found it ironic that the one soldier that can fly in the defense force wasn't the first one here. Technically, she can fly, and she's the fastest in the defense force, being Kikoru using the number 4 suit. And she's always said that she needs to get number 9 back for her dad, right? Reno still needs to get a couple shots in on number 9 because of that thing literally blasting him over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. In that first mission. So yeah, dog, this is going to be absolutely hyped to see this last fight against number 9. But one thing that I wanted to talk about at the end of this video, and I kind of want to see what y'all think too. I was somebody that was very much so in my seat saying that there's no way that this is getting near the end of the series. I still think that there are plenty of plot points to explore, right? I still think we could look at izumotech. I still think that we could look at where all kaiju come from. We can still get into more number suits like 3, 5, and 7. There's a lot of different things that we can still talk about, but this feels like this chapter really started to feel like we are getting close to the end of this series, dog. At the end of a lot of series, you'll oftentimes see a big conglomeration of all the main fighting characters, right, coming together to take out one existential threat that is going to pose a threat to all of mankind, and that's what this Daikaiju is seeming like at this point. And we are having all of our main players get on this field. All we're really waiting for is the people that we said: Reno, Kikoru, Kafka. Once they're there, these are the main people that were involved with a lot of the incidents with number 9. So I don't know. I don't want this to be nearing the end of the series at all. Hopefully this is nearing the end of this arc. But gosh, I can't help but feel like this is starting to feel like the conclusion. So I want to know what y'all think. This is not me saying that the series is nearing its end, because again, we have plot points to still explore. Where did 8 come from? Why did it choose Kafka, right? There's a lot to talk about still, but I don't know. What do y'all think? And what did y'all think about this chapter? As always, if you tuned in for this video, arigato. And I will be back for more Kaiju number 8. But guess what, dog? We don't get another chapter until October 24th. Another month hiatus, G. So let me know if there's some topics that you want me to talk about in the meantime before then. One person that I really would love to talk about that I haven't talked about on this channel that much is my goat, dog, or one of my goats, General Isao. So if you would like a video on Isao, just talking about him in general, let me know that. Or if there's another topic, put it in the comments. Regardless, I will be there. Thank you, like I said, and I will catch y'all later. Peace.